Good morning, hello, and happy Tuesday. All right, let's get the mouse over here. Bigger, all right. Esitsu, hello. How you doing today? Zilby's been super high energy this morning and wanted to play a lot, which is why I'm a little bit late. Trying to do a little bit of tossing some toys for him, and I grabbed some more in case he comes back. So we'll see how it is. Today we are we're gonna be recording a lesson on functional. Yewdux functional. Oh, and I should turn off music. Okay, so Yewdux functional. I believe we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did with the last one. I'll probably do the is authenticated again, as opposed to the like the token or anything else. I think that makes sense. So if I take stores, view, and I don't think there's any. Yeah, pretty much everything. Everything is easier in functional because we just use store, and then you just get the store in the dispatch, and bam, you've got it, and it's easy, and you just use it. So let's go ahead and remove you. Lib stays, login form goes away. Okay, nothing new there, and in our cargo toml. Yeah, so we'll need WebSys with HTML element, WASM bindgen, glue, don't need stylist. We'll use Yewdux. All right, and I think that makes us ready here. Okay, so the first one is install Yewdux, create store. I guess like the next thing would be store the form, right? So store form data into store, display form data. All right. I think that's pretty much it and everything we need to worry about. So I'm going to turn off the chat thing. Make you nice and big and full size. I don't think I necessarily need anything else. Close you, and now we'll be in functional Yewdux. Oh, you know what? We should start the app. Okay, so where do I? Oh, what am I thinking? I was like, my mind went completely blank there for a second. It's like, what do I need to do next? Yeah, just trunk serve. And there we go. We have our nice app. I don't think that there's anything else necessarily. All right. So we will start here. Okay, so let's see. I don't have chat up. Don't have any music playing. I think I'm ready to go. All right, so as normal, we're going to do a recording lesson on Yewdux functional. I think this is going to be the last recording that we need to do uh, for, well, no, I need to do one tiny one as just sort of preparation for the project because I'm not going to be able to redo the entire project with Yewdux functional, with like the new Yewdux version. So I'll probably do like a migrations and how I change it. But yeah. All right, so let's get going here and see what we can do. All right, and let's now work on Yewdux for functional components. This is actually my preferred way of using Yewdux and my preferred way of programming with you. And I really like how it's changed. If you looked at the older versions of this course, specifically the Yewdux lessons, you'll see that things now are a little bit nicer and a little bit easier to use. I'm leaving those previous ones up just in case you need to use them for any projects you have. All right, so first up, install Yewdux as normal. So Yewdux. Now, previously, Yewdux functional came in a completely separate crate, and we had to install that. That's no longer the case. We can just install Yewdux as is. Which means that is done already. Okay, creating the store. In the functional world, creating the store is exactly the same. We're going to create the same examples we did from the struct component examples. We're going to create a login form with an is authenticated. So in source, I'm going to create a folder for stores. And in stores, we're going to have an auth store.rs. All right, so inside of here, it's just a normal struct. So pub struct store. We're going to put in a pub username. Let's make this an option with a string inside. Pub password as an option with a string inside. And a pub is authenticated, which is a Boolean. We will need to pull in, so use Yewdux prelude. And we will need to derive store clone partial equal, and what am I missing? Oh, default. And that should be good for the store itself. Okay, so storing the form data into the store. So let's go ahead and create our form component. And this is where things are going to get a little bit different than the previous lessons. So here we'll do maybe like login form, or yeah, we'll do login form. And in library, we'll mod that. Okay, so use prelude star, and we're also going to need a Yewdux. Function component, we're going to call this the login form. We don't have any properties to take in, so we're good to go there, and we're going to return HTML. All right, well, let's create the form really quickly here. So we know we want a, let's put in a div. We want an h2 as just sort of a title for this. Actually, do we want a div here? No, we want this to be a form. I made that same mistake the last time with the struct components. Okay, so inside of here we have, what is this going to be? This is going to be, well, probably just login. Login, and then we're going to have divs for each sort of form field, and then we'll have another set of divs for the label and then the input itself. Okay, so we have a div, we'll have a label. So this is for username. I don't think I need anything else with this. And you are username. Then we'll have another div with an input. Type equals text. ID equals username. I guess let's do a placeholder. Placeholder equals username. And I think that's it for this one. We'll do our, we'll create the callback functions to go in here and handle the events later. All right, and next up, actually I want to copy this div here. This will now be for password. So password, your password, and your type is password. And then finally, a button, which will be login. Okay. Let's run this and just make sure that the form looks correct. So we're going to come back to lib. And we'll open up here, and here we have, here's our login form with our username, password, and everything sort of looks exactly what we had expected it to. Okay, great. Now, we want to start on change for each of these elements to put the data into the store and then display that out. Well, let's go ahead and set that up. In order to store these things in the store, it's going to be very similar to the struct component ones, except we're not going to have a message passing because we just handle everything here. We are going to create the callback functions. We don't have context linked to create those. We just, well, create the callback functions. And then to get the store information, we're going to use a hook that's provided by Yewdux for us called uStore. So let that equals useStore. We have to give it the type. So this is the Auth Store. And that gives us two things here. So if we hover over, we'll see that we get the store itself and then the dispatch as two things in a tuple. So we can say auth store and dispatch. And we can even do this as just an auth dispatch. If we don't need the auth dispatch, then we can just go ahead and underscore that. I don't think we're going to need the store. We're mostly going to use the dispatch to update the store here. And actually, this is library. I don't need this here. Let's go ahead and cut you out. We don't need you, and we don't need you. And head back to login form. We're going to put that here. No, right here. There we go. You need to know auth store, so import you. And there we go. Okay, we're good to go. So dispatch. Well, so the first thing is on change for the username, we need to update the username. So let's go ahead and create a callback for that. So we'll do username on change. Actually, I like the other way around. On change username equals callback from. We're going to get our event and we need to do exactly the same thing that we did before. We need to convert this event to something that we can handle. So I actually have, I had the example of this. Let me see. This is, let's go back and take a little bit from our storing the Yewdux. So this is using Yewdux to store form data. I want to grab the login form. And there's the view. Here it is. So we have this event target unchecked into HTML input. I'm going to just take this, head back over to my login form, and we're going to say, okay. So the value is going to be, and we can do this all in one line too. So we can let's get the username equals event. Oh, did it twice. Event target unchecked into HTML element and give me the value. And that should give me a string here. I want to then semicolon you so you're happy. You need to know what this HTML input is. You need to know what type this is. I can get that by passing you in here. So on change equals on change username. That will tell me that this is an event. That makes you happy, and you'll eventually figure this out, that this is a string. Okay, so now that I have this as a string, I want to grab this dispatch and use it in here. But this is a closure. I can't just move this in here, but luckily I can clone dispatch and everything is going to be fine. So what I like to do is create a block here for this callback. And we're going to return the callback from it. Before we do that, we're going to clone dispatch. And then we're going to move that dispatch in here. Now we can safely do a dispatch dot, let's see, I want to do a reduce mute. We have our store, and I want our store dot, this is going to be username is equal to a sum username. And that is our on-change username. To go ahead and update this again, but now with password. Okay, so on change password, we get the dispatch again. Okay, so we call into event, let password equals dispatch sort of the password equals some password. Okay, everything looks great, and this is going to be our on change password, and we're going to put that right here. All right, and then the last one is going to be the login event. So let's go ahead and get that set up. It's going to be exactly the same thing. So let on submit equals, we're going to do a block so we can clone the dispatch here. So dispatch equals dispatch.clone. We're going to return a callback. We know that this is going to be some type of event, but it'll tell us. If I semicolon u, I can just immediately come down here and put this on the form. So on submit. And it's a focus event. Okay, so we have our, we need to move our dispatch in. Okay, so we have our event. We have our dispatch. I don't actually, oh, well, I do care about the event. The first thing I want to do is prevent default. So that way it doesn't try to refresh the page on us. Then I want to grab this dispatch. We're going to do dispatch dot reduce mute. All right, so we want store dot is authenticated. We want this to be equal to true if and only if user and password are set for us. So let's do that as store dot username. Okay, so we want you to be is some and store dot password is some. Now you're semicoloned here. You're not semicoloned because you're returning out of the block into on submit. All right, and that should be handling now, adding all the data into the store. Let's go ahead and mark this as done. Of course, it's hard for us to tell for sure because we need to display this form data into onto the screen for us to really know for sure. So let's go ahead and do that next. We'll create a new functional component, maybe like display auth s. And in display auth, we're going to use u prelude star and then also use Yewdux prelude. Function component again, and this is going to be our display auth. We don't need any properties coming in, so we're just going to go straight to returning HTML. All right, so what do we want to display here? Probably just a div. Inside of this, we're going to want an h2. This is going to include our, this is going to be the auth data, right? So we'll just put in auth data. We want the username, we want the password, and we want the username, password, and the is authenticated. We want them as formatted strings, and so we want to add that in here. Let's go ahead and do the use store to get the store data. So so here we're going to have our auth store, and the dispatch we don't need here because we're not going to change it. And then if I want to create, let's say, username is going to be equal to, we're going to format, we're going to say username is a reference to I don't need a reference to. Instead, what I want to do is auth store dot username as dref unwrapper default. Want to do the same thing for password. Okay, so auth store password as dref unwrapper default. And then finally, the is authenticated. Is authenticated. All right, so auth store is authenticated. Now this is a Boolean, and a Boolean should implement copy. So I should just be able to do that. Okay, and then let's display them. So we'll have a div, and we'll place each of these here. So we'll have username, password, and is authenticated. And I think that's all we need here. So let's head back over to our lib and pull this in. And we'll display auth. And here we go. Okay, so we have our auth data. Let's go ahead and make sure this is working as expected. So username. Hey, we got that there. We have our password and we hit login and is authenticated as true. If we remove the password and then hit login, that my logic wasn't correct. It doesn't actually set to false. I would need to come back to display auth note login form and double check that, hey, if your is, oh, you know what? I never set this to be a none in the case that it's empty. I would have to then determine if this has a value in it. So let's do that really quickly here. So unchanged password. Okay, so if you're empty, so I want to do this as an if statement right here. So if password is empty. Oh, because I have to move. Do I have to move this in? Why are you not giving me help? If password is unknown. I have to tell you that you're a string. And then it will know what this is. So if password is empty, I want to return a none. Otherwise, I want to return a sum password. And we can do the exact same thing. Let's see, you are here. We can do the exact same thing here. or username. So if username is empty, we need to give you a type. And then you are username. All right, let's try this. So username, that's good. If we hit that, is authenticated as false. True, delete you, back to false again. And so that's how we can store our login data, display it out, and basically just have things in a store, in one of our stores. And like before, it is recommended that if you have different data for completely different components that are not related to each other, create multiple stores. Yewdux handles it very well and makes it very easy to sort of choose which store you want. You can even pull multiple stores into the same component. And that's all we've got for using Yewdux with functional components. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right. I'll just leave this over here like that and keep chat on the other window. Let me first, before I forget, change the name of this. Okay, this is Yewdux functional. All right. Okay, so the last thing that I potentially want to record is just a really quick. Well, I guess I had two more things. Maybe a really quick introduction. That one okay? I still would have gone with reduce mute callback though. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, let me take a really quick look there. That might be good. That might be a good one to re-record. If I did a Yewdux reduce mute. Oh, right, because I wouldn't need to use this entire callback there. Oh man, that'd be so much. That would be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Login form. Hold on. So if I do this here, I keep on forgetting that exists. That's the problem. So let's do on-chain username would be auth dispatch reduce mute callback with. We have our store and then we have our event. This, I think we have to tell it what it is. So that's still an event. Oh yeah, this is so much easier. Then I just do the thing here. Okay. Yeah, let's re-record this one. Good call, Esitsu. Thank you for that. So oh, and then I keep on forgetting exactly this thing. So I need to store that away. All right. Got you. We're good to go here. Okay, so stores, display auth, login form. You all go away. I think we're good to go here, and we just have our app again. Okay, yeah, that's a really good. I probably could have done that with the other ones too, couldn't have I? Yeah. I at least want one of the tutorials to show how to do this, especially when having to move the dispatch in. Maybe I'll do like one to show like, hey, we could do this, but there's a better way. All right, so let's try this again with take two. Okay, so I think we're all ready here. Let's do it again. Can't do the keyboard shortcut if the Explorer is open on the other computer. It just full screens that, which is not what I want. All right, let's try again. Now that we have learned the basics of Vue with struct components, let's look into how we can use Yewdux with functional components, which is my preferred way of programming in Vue and also with using Yewdux. If you notice, the check boxes here, our to-do list essentially is exactly the same thing, and we're going to be creating the login form that we did with the struct example. So step one, we want to install Yewdux. Installing Yewdux is exactly the same as with everything else. There is no different version of Yewdux that we need. If you're coming from a previous version of Yewdux where you needed a Yewdux functional, we don't need that anymore. Go ahead and remove that and make sure we're on the latest version of Yewdux. Second up, we need to create the store. Creating the store for functional component use is exactly the same as creating a store for any other Yewdux use. Let's go ahead and create a store folder here with a mod.rs. Okay. And we're going to create an Auth Store. All right, so we're going to create a public struct Auth Store. That's going to have our username. So pub username. That's going to be an option with a string inside. We're going to have a pub password with an option and a string inside. And we're going to have a pub is authenticated, which is a Boolean. And then we're going to bring in Yewdux and derive store default partial equal and then clone, because we want to use those we want to use the reduce mutes. Okay, so next up, we want to create the form and then put all of the data into the store for us. Let's go ahead and create a store. I guess I'll call this like maybe login form. All right, so we're going to use U, and we're going to use Yewdux. Function component, we're going to call this a login form. We don't need any properties coming in, and we're going to turn HTML here. All right, let's go ahead and create the form really quickly. So we want a form. And let's see. Okay, well, we want probably a label for this entire thing. So we'll do an H2 for this. And that's going to be our login. We want a div to store each one of the inputs. We're going to want then another div to give our spacing for our label. For equals, this is going to be our username. We don't need anything else here. And you are going to be username. Div. Okay. So the next one is going to be the actual input itself. So input type equals, this is going to be text. We're going to have an ID equals username. And we're going to have, let's do a placeholder. Okay, and then that's it for the input. Let's create a second form. This is now going to be our password. Okay, so password, and then type is going to be password. And then finally, we want a div, and then to store a button. This, we're going to just have a label of login. All right, let's go ahead and get this running so we can actually, see everything and make sure everything is working as expected. All right, so let's do use login form, login form. Login form. And if we come back to our browser, we can see, okay, here's our login form. Excellent. Now, if we want to store this into our store, we're going to want there's a couple ways to do this. I'll show you basically the same way that we did the last time, but there is a better way to do it that's a little bit cleaner. So the first way is we need to create a callback for the onClick. No matter what, we need to create that callback, but there's two different ways of doing that. So first way is to create the callback using the callback that's provided by you. So let's do this as let, this is going to be our username onchange username equals callback from. We're going to have the event. We know that it is the type event. And here we just sort of grab what this event is. So that's going to be let username equals, it's going to be event dot target unchecked into, we want this to be an HTML input element. And then we want to get the value. If however this is like if however it's more of like let me see, if username is empty, we actually do want this to be a like a none or a sum. So let's actually do this as if the value here is, because you can't tell me what type you are, you're going to be, maybe I can trick you. Want you to be type an option with a string inside. And maybe you will know if that is empty. So if this is empty, then I want to return a none. Otherwise, well, then I don't want to necessarily call this twice. Let's do this in two steps. So we'll do username is just a string. Get the value out here. We'll then, I can shadow username immediately. So let username equals if username, if you're empty, I want you to be a none. Otherwise, you become a some username. Okay, and then, but now we need the dispatch. So to get the dispatch, we're going to have to use a hook to grab the dispatch from Yewdux in, and then we're gonna have to move it into this closure. Okay, so we can get both the store and the dispatch together if we use the use store hook. Auth Store. We have to give it the type here, and then that will provide to us a tuple that has the store and then dispatch inside. Now, in this specific case, we don't really care about the store, so we're just going to leave that as empty, and then we want the auth dispatch. Now, to get this inside of here, we're going to need to create a block around this callback here. And clone the dispatch so that way we can move it in. So let our dispatch equals auth dispatch dot clone. And we can now move this in here. And hit save. Oh, you're upset. Why are you upset? Oh, I don't want this if statement there. There you go. Okay. Right below this block here, we can now use that dispatch. So we can now do dispatch, reduce, mute, get our store. And we're going to say store dot username is equal to username. Okay, well, this is certainly an option. It's certainly a way to do it. Let's go ahead and add it to our input here. This is going to be a onChange equals onChange username. But there's a better way. Let's do a different way with a password here. And this one is going to be a little bit cleaner and actually probably the most preferred way to do this. We're going to do let onChange password equals, and instead of having to do this block and then using the callback from we're going to use a callback from Yewdux. So we need the auth dispatch right away. So we can use auth dispatch. We're going to do a reduce, and then notice there's these reduce callbacks. And the difference between reduce callback and then reduce callback with is the reduce callback gives us both the store and then also the event itself. So let's do reduce callback mute, reduce mute callback with. We're going to take in the store, and then we're also going to take in the event. We know this event is type event. And at this point of time, we now have access to the store itself and the event. We don't have to do the entire cloning of the dispatch and moving it in. It's going to be a little bit cleaner. Okay, so next up, we need to grab our password. So that password, it's a string, and events, we do a target unchecked into here an HTML input element, and we get the value. We then shadow this. Password equals if password is empty. We want a none. Otherwise, we get a some password. And then finally, we can now add this into the store. So we can do store.password. Well, it kind of would make sense. In this case, we don't have to do all this because the dispatch is just right here and we don't have another call. We can just say store.password equals, and then do that right there. It's significantly cleaner. Unchanged password. Let's go ahead and add that in here. All right, and the last thing for us to do is we create the store, we stored the form, we're storing the form data now. Let's go ahead and display the form data out. So let's create another component. We'll call this display auth. We're going to use prelude and use Yewdux prelude. Function component, display auth. We don't need the properties in, and we're going to return HTML. All right. What are we going to do? We're going to start with just a div block. We're going to have an h2 for this. We're going to put in maybe like auth data. We're going to need some formatted strings to actually display the data out. Let's go ahead and create those first. In order to get those, we're going to need the store itself. So let's go ahead and grab our store out. We're going to get the store itself and then the dispatch, which we don't, in this case, care about the dispatch. So I'm going to leave that as an underscore. Equals, this is going to be our use store. And we're going to bring in Auth Store. Okay, so we want, let's say, our username. Username equals, it's going to be a format. We want username. And we're going to do store.username. We're going to do an as deref and an unwrap for default to handle that option and to make it an empty string or a full string. Password equals format. Okay, store dot password as deref unwrap for default. And then finally, is authenticated. You know what? We forgot to put that in there. Let's go ahead and we'll display it out really quickly. But we need to go back and fix that because we need to handle the event, the onSubmit event. Is authenticated. Format is authenticated. And you are store.is authenticated. No need to clone or anything else. It's a Boolean, and therefore it includes copy. And let's display these really quickly while we're here. So we want a div. We're going to put in username, close the div. And we can copy those two. We have password and is authenticated. And since things are technically working, we have no errors. Let's go ahead and plug this one in. So use display auth, display auth. Okay, so we should have our username. We get our password. Nothing happens when login. In fact, it refreshes the screen at this point. So we do need to handle that. Let's head back to our login form, and we're going to create another. Reduce mute callback with. So let on submit equals, this is going to be our auth dispatch, reduce mute callback with. We're going to have our store and our event. I believe this is a focus event. We want to prevent default right away. Then we want to check to make sure that both the username and password are set properly. So we can do store dot is authenticated equals. Okay, so store dot username is some and store dot password is some. And that's it for on submit. Much easier and cleaner than if I had to use the entire cloning system as before. And we're going to put on submit on the form itself. Let's head back over to our form and sort of take a look. Does this work? So we're going to put in our username, put in our password, hit login, and is authenticated becomes true. So quick review. The big difference between struct components and functional components when using Yewdux is going to be using the hook. So this specific one, the use store, that gives us the store itself and then the dispatch right away. And because everything in a functional component is just in, well, the one function, we don't have to use any message passing. We don't have to have some kind of update method somewhere else. We basically create the callbacks. We can use the reduce mute callback with or the reduce callback. If we don't include the with, the event isn't included. So if you don't really care about the event at all, then just don't use the reduce without the with. We add those into the actual HTML, and then everything else is pretty much the same as the struct components. We're grabbing the data from the HTML elements, and then we're putting them into the store. Displaying them is exactly the same as well. We are grabbing the data from the store using the useStore hook, creating the format in the exact same way, and then displaying it in the exact same way. Anyways, hopefully this gets you started on your Yewdux functional journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. All right, I think that was better. Although I did forget the form event. That was fun. I think I started talking too fast too. All right, so you two, I don't need any more. I want to rename you. This is functional Yewdux. Okay, so no, well, maybe yes. Let's close you and let's get you all saved. Recorded functional Yewdux lesson. Also, this is in this Yewdux. I think that the only difference, let's go ahead and let's push this up. GitHub PR create into main recorded Yewdux lessons. Skip the body, submit that. I will review that later today. And well, do I want to review that later? I probably just want to do that now. Yeah, I was focused on that one. I did rush ahead a little bit. Yeah, I need to figure out a better way of doing like my checklists, and maybe have them I don't know if I want them more granular or something else. Or if I focus more on just sort of like the follow along ones for videos. I've been thinking about trying out some blog style ones where it's more written lessons. That might, and with like super short videos that sort of like uh go with those, or maybe even like GIFs. But I don't know. I have to sort of like experiment around to see which ones I want. That being said, it I think it'll be okay. Let's go ahead and where's my browser? There you are. Oh, of course I'm not logged in. And I don't have my YubiKey up here, so are you logged in over here? I am logged in over here. Okay, so hold on. Pull request. So I want to verify like what things changed. Okay, so setting up Yewdux changed. That's fine. Using Yewdux to store form. Okay, that's good. Yewdux functional is good. Integration test. Okay, that's fine. Like just a package lock got updated. I don't really care about that. All right, so this should be fine. I'm just gonna merge this in then. Oh, come on, go back to conversation. Sure, squash that and merge. All right, so let's check out main. Pull. All right, so I now have all of the new stuff in there. Blocks would allow me to write it up and then do shorter video segments using the text as a script. Yeah, that would be another thing is like I could potentially, I don't know if I would want to create like a one-to-one script. But it could be more of like if the blog was, I don't know if it would be, I don't know if blog is the right word. If it was an article maybe, uh then the article would be the primary lesson and then the videos would be short supplemental sort of like help out. So like anything where it's like I'm finding it difficult to like, oh, I need to write like a million words just to like get this one point across that I could get off with just showing you and like a short description. That would potentially be then a video that I can embed into the article itself. So I want to experiment with those. That would be a lot less of me doing those on stream though, because I don't think it'd be fun to write articles on stream. That would be mostly me just sort of thinking and staring and then just typing. Okay, so what I want to do, we're in here, close that. I want to do two more. An introduction to the, okay, I need to pull in the project now. Let's remove these from the workspace. And let's add in the project. I think it's going to be solution here. Right, because in here we have an older version of Yewdux. And let's see if I can find. Yes, heck, just specifically this store type is going to be vastly different. I go, oh, you don't even know what this is. Store type, I think we got from, oh yeah, I'm using persistent store. Oh, that's going to be very different. Dispatch store type. So maybe the first thing we do is a video of me going through this and converting it to the new one, and then I'll do another video at the beginning of the project that basically just lets you know, hey, I'm using for this solution, I'm using the old one. If you want to like there like here's a link to a video of me converting it to a new version of the store. And this is where I think maybe separating out and me not doing the project at all as part of the same course, I think would be a good idea, because this is too tied to the versions. Whereas the other ones are easy for me to update little specific pieces of it. This is now like this huge thing that I can't really go in and just like replace one little piece of it anymore. Um, although I don't have to show like the end result. I could just say like, I'm going to be working on updating this. Let's try it. Let's do. Okay, so I don't have anything else. Let's try something in here. All right, we're about to start working on the solution to the project for the to-do application. But before we begin, I want to sort of step into the future a little bit and let you know that some things have changed. Specifically, Yewdux has changed versions. Now, you've probably watched my the introduction to Yewdux videos and the Yewdux functional that shows the new version off and how to use it. But when I recorded the solution here, we were still on the old version, as we can see here, Yewdux 0.7. And what that means is that we have to use the uStore with this like different store type. And we have basically, there's methods and other things that just don't work with the new version of Yewdux. So if you are trying to follow along exactly as is, either you can switch over and use the old version of Yewdux and then convert it over, or, and then I highly suggest this, try writing the entire app yourself without watching, and then come back and watch my video to sort of see how things are going. After the project, I'm going to have a video that shows me converting this style of Yewdux over to the latest version. Anyways, good luck on the project. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. All right, I think that's fine for letting people know. All right, so this is the solution prequel, no, solution, like pre-solution Yewdux. All right, and then let's go ahead and create a new branch. I want this to be solution update, solution Yewdux update. I'm also going to publish you. And that's it's 8:11 already. I don't have time to really go to start this. So I guess Tomorrow's Wednesday, so I'm not streaming on Wednesdays. I'll be back on Thursday, and I guess that's what we're gonna start doing. Is we're gonna spend Thursday, hopefully only Thursday. Um, we can experiment around and take a look a little bit, like right now in the next few minutes, to sort of see what is the lift gonna be for this. So first of all, if I just go straight in here and just update Yewdux to 082. So many things are going to break. So let's bring solution trunk serve. This is going to recompile and then just error out. And that's because failed to resolve undeclared type area. Okay, so our source store 35. Okay, so store. Oh, impulse store. Can do all that. What if I store and then we need partial equal? I need to tell Rust Analyzer to restart because it's not happy at all. Okay, so persistent store cannot be found in the scope. So it's no longer in the prelude. Do you exist still at all? No, you do not. Okay, so that's fun. I believe that there's some changes. Let's do go to crates. You have the book. Do you put it in a book? Yewdux provides the store macro to easily persist your state in either local or session storage. Okay, so that's what we want to do here. So this would be store storage equals local. This would be store storage equals local. And then we wouldn't need persistent. We wouldn't, like, store type would at this point in time just be store. And I'm only keeping this here for not having to change everything to be store type. Oh, look at this. So many errors now. Oh, that's fun. So much fun. Okay, well, this is what we have to look forward to. I wonder if I want to do one sort of like practice round where we just sort of figure it out and then we'll record doing the thing. That might be the best way to do this. Oh, because store is now this RC store. And if I do this, I need, okay, so this would need to be like a reduce mute. Like that. Okay, all of these things need to just become, so wherever I have dispatch reduce, you all need to become reduce mute. And then all those errors just go away except you that are somehow reduce mute. Okay, I don't think this is gonna be too bad. All right, well, I will save what I've got so far because it's in a branch. I can always just delete this and restart over again. So, uh, exploring, updating solution to new Yewdux, and I'll sync those. And I think 76 errors. Fun. That is where we're going to end off for today. So as I mentioned, I won't be back tomorrow. I'm going to be I'm spending my mornings on Wednesdays. I do some bike riding around. I'm actually going into the office on Wednesdays once per week to sort of, hang out with some other people, get some social time in, but also get a chance to ride my bike. And then Thursday and Friday we'll be back. We'll be working on this. And then also weekends I've been taking for myself too. So no more Sunday streams for the time being. All right. Have a great rest of your Sundays. And Tuesdays, whatever today is. Have a great rest of that day. And I will see you next time. Bye.